This is your spoiler warning. We will be discussing many spoilers in this video. If you haven't completed the game yet, please leave now. Hey man, what's going on, man? This your boy A.K.A SMG back with another video, man, and today, you can tell by the thumbnail, you can tell by the title exactly what's going on, man. We discussing Marvel's Spider-Man 2. Just introduced a character that most fans will be happy about. Cindy Moon, also known as Silk. I literally died when I saw this reveal.
Oh, and this is my daughter, Cindy.
Oh my god, I'm about to die! Anyway, with Cindy Moon being revealed in the second post-credit scene in Marvel Spider-Man 2, I just knew I had to make this video. If you saw our last discussion video regarding this game, we talked about possible DLC we could get, and if we do get any DLC, what comes after that? Me personally, I think another standalone game similar to Miles' game would be perfect, but this time around, the focus could maybe be on Silk. Playing as both Miles and Silk, but Miles will now be in the mentor role that Peter was in when Miles was starting out. So in this video, we'll be breaking down some stuff about Silk in the comics and the many ways she could work in the Insomniac universe. Now I'm going to be breaking this up into different chapters, with the first chapter being her origins. So right off the bat, we know that Insomniac will have to change Cindy's origin. In the comics, Cindy Moon is born to Nari and Albert Moon. In the game, her father Albert is now dating Miles Morales' mother Rio. So where is Cindy's mother? In Insomniac's universe, it seems that Nari Moon must have died or had a divorce with Albert. Who knows? She also has a little brother, Albert Moon Jr., who is missing in the post-credit scene. Does he not exist in this universe, or is it something else? We'll get to him in another video. In the comics, Cindy attended the same school as Peter Parker and is actually bitten by the same radioactive spider that bit him, giving her spider powers. But in Insomniac's universe, Cindy seems to be around Miles' age, so that rules out her being bit by Peter's spider. And we can rule out Miles since the spider that bit him was killed on sight. So assuming she does get her powers in this universe, how does it happen? I got 3 ideas. 1, maybe more radioactive spiders made by Oscorp are still on the loose and she gets bitten by one of them. 2, what if she gets seriously wounded and needs a blood transfusion and the only person with her blood type is either Miles or Peter? Like She-Hulk, maybe Cindy gets her powers by getting a dose of some Spider-Man juice.
I beg your pardon?
Or 3, she gets bitten by a spider from another universe, similar to Earth 1610 Miles, who was bitten by an Earth 42 spider. But we'll get into the multiverse stuff later. I feel like idea 2 would actually make for a pretty cool story in game. If we get DLC, maybe it can end with Cindy getting shot or something and getting blood from Spider-Man, and then the end credit could reveal that she now has powers, teasing her own game. And hopefully, if something like that does happen where she gets Spider-Man's blood, Insomniac won't include the whole pheromones thing from the comics, where since Cindy and Peter were bitten by the same spider, they always feel the need to bust when they meet up. That would be very weird, especially if it's Miles, since he's pretty much her stepbrother now.
What are you doing, step-bro?
I also definitely need to note that in the comics, Cindy was locked in a bunker for 10 years after getting her powers. With her powers causing concern from her family, a man named Ezekiel Sims took her in and trained her to use her powers and get a hold of them. But when he realized that a certain someone that we'll get to later was tracking her, he locked her in the bunker for her own safety. But then she was eventually released by Spider-Man. So all this would definitely have to be scrapped. Maybe Ezekiel Sims could still make a cameo appearance, but who knows? And I would get into his character, but it's kind of a long story, so I'll just skip it. But anyway, let's talk gameplay. People who don't know the character well probably just assume she has the same powers as Spider-Man. While this is true, Silk actually has some very unique abilities of her own. In the comics, Silk has organic webbing that she releases through her fingertips. I feel like that alone would make her gameplay dope. Maybe she won't even have a web cooldown and can constantly web up enemies. This also could be a way to utilize the ability wheel that we have now, adding web moves like web hammer, web fist, web shields. And with her web, she can also form claw-like extrusions from her fingertips. That would be so heat to use in combat. Her webs can also be woven into clothing. Her traversal should be pretty fire as well, since her webs come from her fingertips. And as a female spider hero, it will be interesting to see what new swinging animation and air tricks she can do. Maybe she can climb her webs while swinging, adding a new web wings, and her traversal sounds epic. Silk also has an incredible spidey sense, which she likes to call Silk Sense. Her Silk Sense is probably better than any other spider person. She is able to sense the identity of her attacker before she even sees them. She can also sense potential danger further away than Spider-Man can. In the comics, she even sensed a girl that was crying after being left alone at a party. She is so sensitive to her Silk Sense that she often has to ignore it. It would be cool and kind of funny if when playing as Silk, she doesn't rely on a police radar and just uses her Silk Sense, which could lead to crimes or like just a cat stuck in a tree. And a quick side note, but I love her little references to Eminem and other games and media, so it would be cool if she can reference other Insomniac games during her fight banner. But anyway, she also has a crazy photographic memory. Combined with her Silk Sense, she can capture constant details about her surroundings. She remembers every fight, every move, and every detail of an investigation. This can make for some some crazy combat. Her agility is pretty insane too. It would be cool to see her fighting speed be like the Arkham games, having her use counter moves and parries that lead into a flurry of attacks. So I'm expecting very fast combat. She also plays hockey in the comics, so maybe we could see some combat or traversal moves inspired by the sport. But her silk sense and amazing memory could also add some cool mechanics to investigation. Maybe Insomniac could give her the ability to deconstruct and reconstruct crime scenes without any gadgets. Same with tracking. Maybe the slightest scent can lead her to her destination. And in the comics, due to her and Peter being bit by the same spider, Silk can find and sense Spider-Man anywhere in the multiverse. But regardless, she will definitely be a great ally and a new member to the Spider team. Now before we get into the next big chapter, I want to make a little sub chapter where we talk about the suits we could see for Cindy. Insomniac will definitely have to make some originals for her, but we definitely need her 2 classics, her homemade or the web suit, and her silkworm suit. They must be in the game. And with her being a female character, we should definitely see other suits worn by different Spider-Women. But anyway, let's talk about the villains. If Silk were to get her own standalone game, who would the villain be? She has fought many villains in the comics, one being Black Cat, who she ends up forming a love-hate relationship with, working with her and even double-crossing her. Black Cat, as usual, is up to no good in the comics, but in this universe, she seems to finally be trying to go straight, leaving New York to go to Paris with her girlfriend. So a Silk versus Black Cat boss battle is very unlikely. Even though she is one of the first main foes for Silk, maybe she could be back as a type of mentor for Cindy. There is also a certain nation of enemies she fought in the comics that we'll talk about in the next discussion video, as well as a certain red villain that we will most likely see in the 3rd game. But then we have Dragonclaw and Sin Eater. Silk has an interesting relationship with Dragonclaw, from her first villain to someone she ends up saving. And Sin Eater will honestly just be cool to see, maybe playing out like the Jack the Ripper DLC for Assassin's Creed Syndicate. You also have Ezekiel Sims and Fang. These could all work as perfect villains or maybe side villains. I say side villains because there are some major foes that Silk fought in the comics that would be amazing to see in game and could set up so much in the Insomniac universe. I'll break them down in the following chapter, the Spider-Verse. Now I might make a separate video on this because there are way too many possibilities, but for now let's just talk about some villains that could bring in the Spider-Verse. Dr. Cindy Moon and the Inheritors. These are probably the most notable villains when it comes to Silk, and they all tie to the Spider-Verse. But I'm gonna try to go through this fast because it's a lot. So, Dr. Cindy Moon, or Cindy Moon Earth 65, is literally Cindy Moon from a different universe who didn't turn into the spider hero known as Silk, but instead created the Silk organization, ran by her and ex-SHIELD agent Jess Drew. Dr. Cindy Moon was obsessed with spider powers and the fact that she could have been a spider hero if bitten. Long story short, she ends up creating her own radioactive spiders that would end up biting Gwen Stacy, giving her spider powers. And after watching and studying Gwen, she discovers that she has an interdimensional teleporter, which she decided to steal from Gwen and use to travel to Earth 616 and steal a bunch of technology. Insomniac could switch this around and have her come to Earth 1048 and bump into our Silk, the good Silk. In the comics, Dr. Cindy Moon was defeated by the good Silk, Spider-Gwen, and Jessica Drew's Spider-Woman, and as well as her partner Jess Drew, aka Agent 77, who betrayed her after finding out he was being lied to. Now all this will be a lot, but with some changes to fit Insomniac's universe, I think it could be pretty cool. Having a boss fight against yourself sounds like a pretty interesting origin story. And of course, it could be a chance to cameo other spider heroes like Jessica Drew and my baby boo, Gwen Stacy. Now with the right changes, this next group of villains could serve as a way to bring in the Spider-Verse and be a nice origin story for Insomniac Silk, the Inheritors. Now regardless of what people say about the group and how some of their comic runs were, I feel like Insomniac could make a good adaptation. Cindy's most deadly enemies, the Inheritors, feed on the life forces of both totem avatars as well as totem gods themselves. Totems are beings that connect animals to humanity, and the Inheritors are basically vampires who feast on spider totems. I won't get into all the Spider-Verse shenanigans here, so long story short, the Inheritors, led by Morlun, found a way to control the Master Weaver's powers to travel between dimensions and hunt down the spider totems. They need 3 specific totems to perform a ritual that would end all spiders: the Other, the Skion, and last but not least, the Bride, which is Cindy Moon, aka Silk. I feel like this will be amazing. Like, let's say we get 3 DLC episodes, and in the finale of the 3rd episode, maybe Cindy can get her powers via blood transfusion from Miles or Pete, and she becomes a spider person. She learns from Miles and maybe Black Cat and fight villains like Dragonclaw or Sin Eater, but then out comes Morlun and the Inheritors, who need Silk for a ritual. This way we can just kind of skip all the extra Spider-Verse stuff and just view from Cindy's perspective. Maybe we could just get some cameos from other spider people and maybe a big cut scene similar to Mortal Kombat Armageddon, where we see the Spider Army versus the Inheritors. But anyway, the Inheritors needed Cindy because the role of the Bride was quote unquote special, with her scent drawing the Inheritors to her. Maybe when she gets her powers in Earth 1048, this could trigger her role as the Bride and make it easy for the Inheritors to find her. I personally think this will be fire. Seeing Silk, who just recently got her powers, have to deal with such a big mission, being chased by inheritors and teaming up with other spider people across the multiverse. Silk, Gwen, and Spider-Woman once again teamed up in the comics during this whole ordeal. These three actually constantly teamed up, I believe, with Jessica serving as a mentor to Cindy, and with the new combat companion system we have in Spider-Man 2, this could be a perfect way to utilize it. Maybe different inheritors could pop up around the city similar to the Taskmaster missions in the first game, fighting different inheritors with the help of other spider people like Gwen, Jess, Cosmic Spider-Man, Anya, Miguel, Superior Spider-Man, Madam Web, man, bro, the possibilities are endless. But I don't want this video to be too long, and I can talk about this all day, so I'll try to wrap it up here. I just think with Cindy being introduced, the Spider-Verse is something that could definitely end up happening. Of course, Insomniac doesn't have to, but I think it would be heat. And with all the different and unique areas we could explore and portals we could go through in Spider-Man 2, that just tells me that Insomniac may be testing the waters for something bigger, especially after one of their recent games that's literally about different dimensions. Plus, we already got a direct tease to the Spider-Verse, so places like Loom World will probably be beautiful to see. But in conclusion, Cindy Moon will be amazing regardless of what her origins are in the game. I can't wait to see what Insomniac does, cause so many things can be done. Rereading her comics, I realized how much of a fire character she is. I'm glad she's about to get the recognition she deserves, hopefully appearing in the Madam Web movie and with her own live action project in the works. And don't get it twisted, I still love Spider-Gwen and was hoping for her over Cindy, but Cindy honestly makes more sense and will probably add so much more to the story than Gwen would. But low-key, with Cindy being introduced, the chances of seeing Gwen might have gotten higher. We still don't know who the new police captain is after Yuri went rogue. Gwen could be in the same universe and serve as a friend to Cindy. She would probably need another female her age to relate and talk to. Man, it's just so much that could happen, bro. She worked with JJJ in the comics, worked with S.H.I.E.L.D. and Mockingbird, Agents of Atlas, had a small little moment with Human Torch, and hey, I don't want to reach, but they did just add the Baxter building. But I gotta stop myself, man, or we'll be here all day. Hopefully I said everything I could think of, even though I most likely forgot some stuff, but that's where y'all can come in. Comment down below how y'all feel about all this. Let me know what you would add or change, all that stuff. But stay tuned for the next discussion video where we discuss what could happen in the inevitable Spider-Man 3. But as always, I hope y'all enjoyed. If you did, do me a favor, hit the like button, subscribe if you're new, hit the bell so you know when I'm posting, man. Share the content, share the channel, do all of that. I'll see y'all in the next one. It's your boy A.K.A SMG. Peace.